My name is Alison Mosley. I am the Approvals Manager for the North of England Approvals Panel, and I will in this video outline aspects and associated issues related to the approval process of approved clinician renewal. As it will be noted on the issued course certificate, attendance at a course is only part of the approval process, and a course certificate should not be offered or accepted as evidence of AC approval. To achieve refreshed renewal AC approval status, an applicant must apply to the appropriate approval panel. The designation of your regional approval panel is predominantly dictated by the locality of your workplace, and you should notify your registered panel of any employment or home-based address changes to ensure your registration is up to date. For psychiatrists who are Section 12 approved, attendance at an AC refresher or AC induction course will automatically support your Section 12 approval status, in addition to your AC approval status. However, if you are a psychiatrist with only standalone Section 12 approval, attendance at an AC course will not support Section 12 standalone reapproval. Prior to applying for reapproval, an applicant must complete an AC application form supported by relevant documentation from the designated regional approval panel within a year of the expiration of their current approval cycle. When an applicant is seeking renewal approval, relevant renewal documentation will be sent to the renewing applicant from their registered approval panel. These reminder emails will be sent at intervals of approximately 9, 6, and 3 months prior to the end date of your current approval status. As noted, to facilitate reapproval, the applicant must complete an AC application form and provide the outlined requested evidence to support reapproval. This evidence includes CPD activity, CV, valid course certificate, and the details of 2 identified referees. Therefore, careful reading and completion of the application form is required. If the applicant has any specific queries, they should email their designated panel for further advice. Applicants should be aware that the processing of approval applications can be time-consuming, and the panels can't fast-track or prioritize anyone's application. For standalone application form-based renewals, it can take up to 8 weeks on average to process an application. But during busy times, this can take a little longer. To support AC approval, applicants must submit evidence of CPD activity which meets their own profession's standard requirements. For example, for a psychiatrist, this is 50 hours of CPD activity over 12 months. Evidence either by a Royal College Psychiatry Certificate of Good Standing or a peer group signed CPD log. For the small minority of higher trainees who may have already become ACs, an ARCP appraisal document meeting the requisite standard of progression would similarly be accepted. A frequent factor causing a marked delay in approval can be the receipt of the 2 required supporting references, which are directly requested by the approvals panel. Reference requirements are standard and nationally recognized. The referees you identify must be familiar with your current AC/RC practice and associated capabilities. The provided AC application, which each applicant must complete, provides details as to reference requirements. One of the 2 referees must have worked with you for a minimum of 3 months in the previous 12 months, and the other must have known you for a minimum of 3 months while you were working in England or Wales. One of the two referees must be your current or most recent medical director or clinical director or the equivalent thereof, which would be a senior colleague or supervisor with a line management responsibility for you. One of the two referees must be an approved clinician. The second referee could also be an approved mental health professional with whom the applicant has worked within the preceding 12 months. Renewal approval is only secured once an application has been panel member reviewed and the applicant has been issued with a formal approval letter specifying the commencement and end date of their approval cycle. To perform the legal functions of an AC/RC without approval is unlawful. If a renewal application is not processed before the end date of the 5-year approval cycle, the applicant's legal AC status will lapse, and during this unapproved period, it is unlawful to perform AC/RC legal functions. Also, for applicants who are psychiatrists, the end date of your AC approval will also terminate your legal Section 12 approval status. In the circumstances of lapsed AC approval, an applicant cannot have their approval status temporarily extended. However, to meet the requirements of renewal, all supporting AC application documentation must be in place and valid. An applicant can seek AC renewal up to 12 months following a lapse in their approval, but after a period of 1 year, reinstatement of approval would require the submission of a further initial AC approval application. So for applicants who obtain their AC status via the portfolio route, this would necessitate the submission of a further full AC portfolio application. If an applicant has their professional registration to practice in the UK removed, their legal AC approval status will automatically cease. When an applicant regains their UK registration to practice, the remaining period, the 5-year renewal cycle of AC approval, can be reinstated, but such reinstatement can only occur if an applicant informs their designated approval panel that they have regained their registration to practice. Where there has been a lapse in your approval, it is your responsibility to reactivate your AC approval status appropriately. It is unfortunately not uncommon for approval panels to identify professionals who have been working illegally without appropriate approval, or where their remaining approval cycle has not been reactivated following a period of lapsed UK professional registration. When such instances of acting without approval come to the attention of approval panels, the panel is obliged to promptly notify both the management of the professional and the Department of Health and undertake an investigation to identify if the professional has performed illegal functions as an RC or Section 12 doctor. Where a professional has performed illegal Mental Health Act functions, this could lead to legal challenges and prosecutions arising. Okay, general conditions of AC approval. AC approval across England and Wales is not transferable, although you can use an English AC course to support Welsh AC approval. If you are seeking to work in England as an RC, you must have been AC approved by an English panel. If you want to work in Wales, you must be approved by the All Wales Approval Panel. So to legally work across England and Wales as a responsible clinician, you must be dual approved in both England and Wales. AC approval is awarded for 5 years, and details of an AC applicant's professional status will be recorded on the data protected AC and Section 12 Mental Health Act National Database. As a condition of approval, all applicants are required to notify their designated approval panels of changes in their employment or home address details and of any professional concerns, investigations regarding their fitness to practice. Where an applicant's professional UK registration to practice is removed, they must notify their designated panel immediately. As noted, when the end of the 5-year approval period is approaching, approved applicants will be sent a renewal reminder at intervals of approximately 9, 6, and 3 months, which will be accompanied by relevant renewal application documentation and process guidance. However, such reminder details will not reach you if you've not informed your regional approval panel of changes to your work or home address details. Should you have any further queries regarding the approvals process or eligibility, then please directly contact your designated approval panel.